Hey, Ag Teacher Thoughts here, coming at you with another video, and this one is dealing with a little bit about our greenhouse class. So today in our greenhouse class, we're going to be doing a lab on grafting. Now, it's the first time I've ever done this lab. It's the first time I've ever heard of anybody doing this lab, but it's one I was thinking about last night. I'm like, gosh, how can I show how the nutrients pass a graft without actually having to do a full-on graft and wait days or weeks or months for that. And I was thinking about labs that students may have encountered when they were younger, so they will have a frame of reference for that. And I thought, you know what? I got it. I know what plant material I need to use in order to do this lab so that they can be familiar with it. So this is going to look a little cliche, but you have to understand where I'm going here. I have a bunch of celery. And yes, I have them in blue water. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this celery and we're going to cut them in a graft. We're going to try a couple of different grafts, and then we're going to try to line those tissues up so that the nutrients that are coming up the stem, the colored water, actually is able to pass from one section of venal tissue across where the graft is and into the other set of venal tissue on our, so the blue dye is going to be our rootstock, and the undyed celery is going to end up being our scion, or our material that we graft on. And the hope is it'll go from our rootstock up into the scion, so it'll cross that graft. Now, I know most of these students, when they're younger, will have put celery in dyed water, so it's going to seem a little bit kind of like okay, I've done this before, but I want them to think a little bit about it. So this is our first introductory grafting lesson. I do have another one that if I can get to the dollar store, we'll do that tomorrow. Completely spaced it, drove right past the dollar store last night and forgot to stop and get my supplies. But I'll post about that one too. But the other thing is I said this was an introductory grafting lesson for greenhouse. We are going to do some grafting on some actual plant material. And again, I had to look for plant material that is going to react quicker and it's going to grow faster so that they can see the results within one semester. So with that, I've got the plants actually in our growing chamber here, and I'll let you take a peek. So in here, we have a bunch of tomatoes that we've started. So whether you realize it or not, you can actually graft tomatoes. Okay, so I didn't go out and get any fancy rootstock, because you can buy fancy rootstock for tomatoes, and then you can have your material you want to graft on. What I chose is just basic tomato seed. It was end of the season tomato seed. We've got some cherry tomatoes and some beefsteak. And what we're going to do is we're going to attempt to graft the cherry tomato on the beefsteak rootstock, and then we'll take the beefsteak scion, or material we cut off of that rootstock, and we'll switch it over to the cherry tomato. So we're going to do a swap. So it's not to do anything special other than to show the process that it works. And we have some special clips that were printed off on a 3D printer by our science teacher. Let's see if I can figure out where I put those. He just gave them to me this morning. I think this is them. And these are grafting clips. So these are little plastic clips. And I'll see if I can get one of these out. See if we will stay. Well, let's stay. There we go. So these are little tiny clips. This one is a little bit too big. This is for doing let's see if we can get it to focus. We'll just move it back and forth. But you can see they open and close when you squeeze them. We needed something a little bit smaller. So this one's about the size of my fingernail, but it is patterned just after the same thing. Okay, so those are the grafting clips. These are what we're going to attempt to use. Now these were a little bit small. So these ones were too small and these ones were too big. We're looking for ones that are just right, so we have some new ones that are actually printing in the 3D printer. And these clips will actually go around the the tomatoes. So they'll open and close, and we'll put them right around the tomato and let them clamp on there. And that should hold those stems together and allow us to graft the tomatoes together. So again, this is just an introduction to grafting. If things work out well this year, I do have a company that it's like a mile down the road from where I used to live that did produce a rootstock. So I'm going to see if I can get a hold of them and see if we can get some basic apple rootstock. And then we will graft some apples onto the apple rootstock. If I can get some bigger apple trees, once those start coming in, bare rooted or something, maybe what we'll do is I'll have people just bring in types of apples and we'll just graft those onto a regular apple tree and see how that goes. But I'm pretty excited about it. I'll let you know how this celery grafting lab goes. And if it works, I will create a worksheet for it, and then I'll be adding it into the greenhouse curricula that I'm still in the process of writing. It's a little bit more labor intensive than I had hoped. So those of you I told that it was coming this next school year, it's probably going to be the year after. Doing the best I can. I'm trying to get a bunch of that information out on YouTube videos, and won't quite be ready for this next school year, but hopefully I can get you a bunch of lessons. So yes, even though they do it in elementary school, in high school too, we can learn to love celery in blue water and see what it can teach us. So I'll let you know how this lab goes, and just wanted to give an update for those that follow my classroom. Ag Teacher Thoughts out.